Today I'll be discussing biblical interpretation, also known as biblical hermeneutics. When interpreting the Bible, there are several things that we have to keep in mind, because Scripture was written by a group of people living in a different time, culture, and place, and who spoke a different language than us here in America in 2020. So we have to be able to negotiate the distance between us in 2020 in America and the writers of the New and Old Testament of the Bible, who lived in the Middle East and wrote in either Greek or Hebrew, and many of whom spoke in Aramaic. So when trying to figure out how to overcome these barriers, there are four models that are pretty common to use. So there's the proof text model, the historical critical model, the reader response model, and the syntactical theological model. Because I suck at writing, I'm just going to write syntax theo model method. So each of these has certain things that they focus on, and therefore have certain flaws and also strength. So the proof text model seeks to use specific texts from the rest of the Bible, often out of context, to help prove a point that the reader has already decided in their head. So this is where they've come up with what they think Scripture means, and then try to find things to prove it. So this text, or this method, is biased because it often takes out of context texts and tries to prove what it has already decided. The historical critical model seeks to put the text in its historical context, which navigates the time, culture, and geography much of the time. However, it's often too focused on history and the historical context of the text, and often doesn't put a lot of weight into the language that the author used, and really doesn't even seem to care that much about the actual meaning of the text, apart from the history behind what is written. The reader response model uses the historical critical method to help determine what the text means, but its full focus is on how what the text is saying can be applied to society now. So they don't really care what the author was trying to say, so they ignore the author and simply try to apply the text to modern society and to the individual's current needs. The syntactical theological method, also known as the grammato-theological method, it attempts to take all four of the distances we have to navigate to overcome our lack of understanding of the context of the text, by putting an equal weight on the historical context as well as the language of the text. And of course, this is talking about the language of the original text, not the translations that we have received over the years. And this helps by looking at the historical and the original language. We can seek to find out what the original author was trying to say to the original audience. And this, while not necessarily applicable to us today, will help us to understand what the text actually means and find enduring principles that we can apply today, even if the text itself does not apply.